Hare Krishna and welcome back to Ways to Welcome Krishna into Your Heart and Home. My name is Valasani, and as we discussed last week and promised, we're going to talk about Japa today. First thing in the morning, the first thing we do, as we talked about last week, is we use the bathroom, brush our teeth, have a shower and all of that, change our clothes, and it's all about the cleanliness. So we've already gone over that, so I won't go too much into that today. One other thing I did want to mention, just on my thumbnail photo, I have a picture of my Japa beads on my altar, and generally that is a no-no. It was more just to set the scene for you that what we were actually practicing today. So I'll start off first of all talking about where we keep our Japa beads. So we don't keep them just out of the bag, and this is for a few reasons. We keep them in a bag to make sure that they're clean and protected. And also we're modest with our chanting, so it's not that we're showing off, we just sort of keep it to ourselves. We don't need everybody to know about it, but if we want to share that with people, we certainly can. Generally it is, as I say, a private practice, but you can chant in a temple as well. And I've got a few bags here to show you today, but this is just one that I use sometimes as well. And the reason I have a few is there's always one spare, so if I've got one in the wash, I've got another one ready to go. And these are some counters. I'll show you a few different kinds of counters, which is why I've got this bag out. So I'll go over the chanting in a minute, but when we do one round, we move the beads down one. So each time we finish a round, we move the beads down, and we know that when we get all of our beads moved down, that we've done our chanting for the day. Once we take initiation, we take a vow to chant 16 rounds, and that is your 16 rounds there. And that just tells us that how far we've got to go. I generally try and do most of my chanting early, and it's more auspicious to do your chanting early in the morning, but it also just sets the right feel and intention for the day to do it early. And I've got another example here. This is my current Japa bag, and I'll just show you there. There's a little counter, and it's got a little gold bead just there. There's a little gold bead. And each time we chant around, we can move that little bead across. And once we get all the way around, we know we've got 16 rounds. And just up the top here, there's an extra bead. So every time we do 16 rounds, we can move that across. So generally, we promise to do a minimum of 16 rounds. But on special days like Ekadasi, you can make a promise to do double or whatever you'd like to do, just on those special days. But it's totally up to you how much time you've got and how much of a commitment you want to make. Generally, when you first start, you start small and work your way up. And we recommend that you don't go backwards. So if you start off doing 2 rounds a day, for example, stay with your 2 rounds rather than going up to 10 straight away and not being able to do all of that. And don't feel bad if you get stuck for a while. I was stuck on 13 for a very long time, and it was just the way I was chanting. I just couldn't move past it because I was just chanting. I was singing actually in my chanting. That's why it took so long. So there's all little tips and tricks that we can share with you along the way as well. The next thing I'd like to discuss is setting an intention. So when you first get your beads out, you can hold them in your hand in the bag if that's what you'd like to do. I've just taken them out to show you today, but generally, unless I'm changing bags, they stay in there. Your intention might be, to spend your time thinking about Krishna today, or to really pronounce your words correctly and really concentrate on every word that you're saying. And the more you practice doing it properly, the better it is. I think that if you get into a habit of slurring your words and running it together and not saying your words correctly, it's just going to become a bad habit. So you're best off not to start doing that and starting bad habits. So this is my beads. Okay, just to show you there. Generally, we only use our right hand. I'm just showing you today. And they're made from tulsi, which is a very sacred plant. And we'll talk about that when we come to the point that we're discussing offerings to our lordships. So we always keep our beads in a bag, as I said, and I'm just taking these out to show you, but I'll also show you how to put them in and how to work with them. So we've got 108 beads the whole way around, and then we've got a head bead or a Krishna bead right up the top. So I've got a tassel on there, but you don't need to. And the top bead, the Krishna bead, is the one that we say a little prayer on before we start. So we can use all of our sight to help us, because we're in Kali Yuga and it's a little bit hard to concentrate. Our minds don't hold for as long as they used to. So we use a mantra. And a mantra means to draw the mind away. So as we're saying this, I like to twist the bead in my finger. So we use our middle finger and our thumb, and we don't use our pointer because there's a few reasons. Ego is always from that finger, and also if there's anything bad, it's you. So nothing negative, always positive. So we use these two, and I like to run the bead between my fingers, so I'm touching it, I'm thinking about it, I'm listening to the mantra, so I'm speaking it, I'm listening, I'm concentrating on it. So you're using as many senses as you can all at the same time. And so we hold this between our middle finger and our thumb, and we chant, Jai Krishna Caitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhara, Srivasadi Bhakta Vrinda. And then it's up to you. I like to sing it because it's just what's easy for me. And I just realised I'm rocking. I think I probably do rock when I chant as well. And I generally have my eyes half closed so that I'm concentrating on what I'm seeing. I'm concentrating on my bead rather than on everything that's around me. Next, I've got two different sizes there. So one side starts big and one side starts small. So I generally start from the big side, and you work your whole way around until you get to the little side. So on each of those ones, so not on the head bead, but on every other bead, I roll between my fingers again, and on every bead we chant, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And then we would move on to the next, and we would do the same thing the whole way around. And when we work our way back and we get up to that last one and we chant there, that is one round, so 108 beads. And depending on how quickly or slowly you choose to do this, it takes between 5 and about 8 minutes. It really is your personal preference. As long as you're pronouncing everything as you should, please don't be concerned about how long it does or doesn't take. So when we get there, we can turn them around the other way, and we start from the small side and work our way all the way back around. So it can take quite a while to do your 16 rounds, and some days will be longer than others, really depending on what you've got on that day, and that's totally okay as long as you get them all finished. The most auspicious time to do your chanting is in the morning, and generally they say do your first 10 rounds somewhere between, so you're finishing between 6 and 10 o'clock. There's a few different schools on that, but I try and get everything done as early as I can because I actually feel it sets the mood and the intention for the day. So once we've got our beads, I'm just popping the whole lot in, and I'll show you, you can actually feel this when you're in the bag, you don't need to take them out, but you can actually feel where the bead is. And then you can pop it into the larger hole of the bag, and then on the opposite side is the small hole where you put your pointer finger out. And then you can chant while you've got your hand in the bag. Now, I generally, if I need to do something else between, because it's very rare that I would do 16 rounds without stopping, I generally would have to stop and do things because we have to work and everything in between. So just say that I finish my 10 rounds. I would move after each one. I move the counter around until I'm at 10, so I know where I am. I never generally stop halfway through a round unless there's some kind of an emergency. Finish that, and then I can take my hand out of my bag and pop my bag away. So I've got a little place in my cupboard that I can hang my bead. It's clean, it's neat, it's tidy, it's not going to get wet or dirty. I know where it is and it's not going to get damaged, and I can always go back to that later. I think it's very important to make sure that we consider how precious these are and to be very careful with them. Now, another thing with these is that they do dry out because Tulsi is like a wood, so you can see there, mine are a little bit, some are different colours because it's a different part of the wood, but these were actually quite blonde when I got them. So I soaked them in, I'm pretty sure it was almond oil, and I put them in overnight, let them soak up all that oil, and then the next morning I take them out and just rinse them off. I don't wash them, I just rinse them, and then they're oiled again and they're staying nice and fresh and they won't dry out and crack. And this was given to me by my spiritual master, my Guru Maharaj, and he chanted on them before they were given to me. So my god sister actually bought them when she was in Vrindavan for me, and we gave them to our Guru, and he chanted on them before they were given to us, before we were given our names. So they're very special. They'll last me forever as long as I look after them. So and they don't even cost that much, probably between $5 and $10 for a round, depending on what you want for a set of beads. And bead bags, really, it's just a matter of what you want to pay. But it doesn't have to cost a lot. It's about how you look after it, how you set your intention for the day. Now, the other thing I just did want to mention is that when you're thinking about your chanting and as you're going, it's probably not a good idea to be concentrating on other things. So you can certainly go for a walk. Like, we need to be healthy and we need to fit in exercise. But as you're walking and chanting, think about those names. Think about Krishna as you're going. Don't think about, oh, look at that nice car driving down the street, or look at that nice house. You know, it's your time with Krishna. So you can look at that other stuff later if you want to. But we really should be spending that time concentrating on Krishna. That's all I have for today on Japa, but if you have any questions or any other subjects that you'd like me to cover, please let me know. I'm going to pop in the description some chanting from Srila Prabhupada, who is our spiritual grandfather, and it's actually a good one to help you with your timing. So you can, I think it's 108 rounds and it just keeps continuously playing. So I'll pop that in the description. I'll also pop in there a little bit of information as well that I've got notes of that we can share with you. And if you have any questions, of course, please let me know. Now, I do have a bit of a list that we described in our introduction to welcoming Krishna into your home. So I'll work through those, but if you think of anything that you would like to know about, please do let me know, because it's going to be a bit of a series to get you going. And of course, after that, we're going to have the Come to Temple with me, which I'm really looking forward to sharing with you. In the meantime, enjoy your chanting and please think of Krishna sincerely while you're doing it. My name's Raja Falasini. Hare Krishna.